It was a necessary thing during that time. Employers had to make everything go from home. COVID happened. This is what you wanted us to do. We went and did it. Now you're taking that away from us. And we've actually built, 3 years, 4 years of life around this model. Return to office is going to affect all of those things. You just want to take some control back. And property is a great way to do that.
Our last project was still delayed 8 months because of planning delays that I think completely unnecessary.
One of the biggest consequences for you as a property professional is fees in terms of cost of money. So every time we have any delay to a project, it is costing us money.
Hello and welcome to This Property Life, the podcast brought to you by Property Wealth System. At This Property Life, we give you insights into the real world of property investors, the good, the bad and the ugly, warts and all. We bring you stories and interviews with people in property that help and inspire our listeners to get started in property or just to keep going amongst all the noise that's out there. I'm Nick Claydon, and today I'm joined by another of my partners, this time my business partner. This is Sarah Blaney. So welcome, Sarah.
Hello, Nick.
And today we are going to discuss the topic of working from home, coming off the back of recent events, namely Donald Trump in the States, and going big on cancelling working from home. So we're going to discuss that as it relates to the UK, and particularly as it relates to us as property investors, and what that can mean for us in terms of those of us who are still working and those of us who are not in that situation. So Sarah, straight in, working from home, Donald Trump, discuss.
I know, he's such a divisive character, isn't he? He's come in, he's done the whole TikTok game, which absolutely fascinating. Got to talk about that only because it has sparked the interest of my 15-year-old daughter hugely. So I know I'm going off topic, but I've got to get it in because it's just wonderful to see kids reacting to politics and world news. And if TikTok's the thing that makes it happen, then that's great. And she said to me, well, it's quite clear what he's done. He's blamed it all on Biden, and then he's come in with these executive orders and he's getting it all reversed just to try and get the young vote. But they're going to see through him. It's already all over my feed. They're seeing through what he's up to. And it's just really interesting, isn't it? As to, that first 100 days, what he does. I mean, his first 100 minutes, isn't it? Because he just makes decisions so quickly.
He went in hard, didn't he? Yeah, it's interesting hearing from a 15-year-old's perspective. I mean, they do get access to this now, and they do kind of do have some awareness of what's going on in the world. Do worry about where they're getting it from, but if at least as you said, they're getting an interest in politics at a young age. Even my boy's 12 and coming up 12, coming up 9. They're fully aware of Donald Trump, who he is and what's happened. They don't know any kind of depth behind it, but they are aware of it. They do watch this stuff. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a surprise. He came in with all the executive orders to unwind a lot of the policies that Biden's administration had put in place. He's really got in on a kind of, for want of a better term, anti-woke agenda, isn't he? And tried to, reverse that. And as a big part of that, I think he's kind of lumping in this whole working from home kind of issue. He's kind of lumped that all in with the liberal kind of woke agenda, if you like. I'm not sure they are the same thing, because the working from home came out of the COVID, debacle of a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it was a necessary thing during that time, which they had no excuse not to. They were mandatory put back at home, so employers had to make everything go from home. And they loved the benefits of it at the time because they could still continue to, work their workforce and hopefully make money. But I think we've got some legacy items hanging over from there. And, I think a few of them are the frustrations that you and I have on a daily basis, where during COVID, I think everyone can remember how you'd ring up a call center, which was no longer a call center. It was people working from their homes. And you'd have that message of, we're doing the best that we can in the circumstances that we've been given. Bear with all of our operatives. We're really, really busy. It's extenuating volume of work and we're not in our usual workplace. So bear with us. they're still on about that 5 years later, aren't they?
I had one yesterday. It's like,
Did you?
this is Barclays as well, Barclaycard, I think, and they were, some of our employees are working from home, i.e. all of our employees are working from home. You know what's going on, so please excuse any background noise. I've been hearing that since COVID. It's like, come on, guys, that was a while ago now. Can we not, get everyone back again? Probably a bit old school, right? So be interesting to see what where our discussion takes us. But yeah, I've been speaking to a few of my friends who've now, because we're all, early middle life. I'm going to say, Sarah, I'm going to say early middle life. Some of them have reached quite senior positions in the places that they work, and pretty much all of them are like, trying to get people back into the office is an absolute nightmare, and they're desperate to get people back into the office, and they're struggling, really, really struggling. And this is in the private sector, obviously. Don't get me started on, well, in fact, you will get me started on public sector, and I'm probably going to go off on a long rant about that, but maybe not just. Let's work up to that.
So, I mean, I don't know. Return to office, I think, all right, I'm going to put a different hat on it. I think it's terrible for people like to have to go back to the office. So, they're used to having to bring their kids. They can bring them to school. They can go to sports day. They can put the washing on during the day, which makes weekends a lot nicer for everybody. Work-life balance is a much gentler place when people are not in the office.
But I think the other side of that is how much work is actually being done in between school pickups, washing, watching a bit of Wimbledon in the summer. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how much work is actually getting done? Are people getting more or less done? All I can say is, from my experience, during this last few years, we have seen, obviously, Carol and I in our side of things, dealing particularly with public sector side, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about you planners, if any planners are listening here. A lot of working from home, 3-day weeks, and the backlog of planning applications has built and built and built to the point of, we had planners just straight turning down applications just because they didn't have the time to do it, because they're already working 3-day weeks, or they're working from home, and there was no accountability, and a lot of the time I think that these planners didn't really understand the impact on other people trying to get stuff done. I mean, we were doing quite straightforward change of use applications that were getting knocked back. Should it be a very straightforward 8-week process? It gets to 8 weeks, no response, chase. Oh, can we have extra time? Okay, chase again, flat refusal. Flat refusal. Why? Just because they ran out of time, and it was easier to kick things back than to try and explain. I think our first project in Edinburgh got delayed almost a year, and the second one about 8 months.
And of course, the consequence for you as a property professional is, well, one of the biggest is fees in terms of cost of money. So
Yeah,
every time that we have planning delays or any delay to a project, it is costing us money in cost of money. The amount of time that we hold that money, we are paying for it, and it really adds to the project bills, doesn't it?
absolutely. I mean, I'm not even going to add it up because it will make me very
The
upset.
depression rate, you just shouldn't
Um,
do it.
no, but it was tens of thousands of pounds, just being unable to do anything because of planning delays. I think were completely unnecessary. And if a normal working schedule had been resumed as soon as the whole COVID thing was over, wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. Well, of course, Kia's going to solve that for you, Nick, because he did plan in the last budget and gave us big reassurances that he was going to bolster the whole planning department just to get through all of the great stuff to solve our housing crisis. Honestly, this discussion could go off in 1,000 different tangents, couldn't it, of mini rants between Sarah and Nick today.
Look, he's put that out there. I'm not holding my breath. I haven't seen any actual action taken, and I'm not sure when that action will, if ever, be taken. Our last project was still delayed, and this is 2024. Still delayed 8 months, by planning delays because no one's there. I was talking to my next door neighbour. Actually, he's also a developer, and he was talking about trying to get hold of a senior legal a head of legal, the council area where he works in Scotland. And, we're talking multi-million pound developments here. And, yeah, he just couldn't get hold of the legal person to sign off on a bit of paper that allows him to start his build. There's a multi-million pound build, and the guy's like working from home this week and, can't get hold of. Then he's away for 2 weeks, comes back, and then he's away, on a course for another week. And he's like, "I'll speak to this, speak to my colleague." So on the auto response, because that's the only way he can get hold of him, goes to he picks up the email from the other person, the colleague who has literally no idea about what he's talking about, and said, "Oh, I can't make any decision on that. It has to be my boss, and he's away for X amount of time." It's like,
So there's this whole thing on return to office where, it's going to improve productivity. Collaboration is always a good thing. That is fantastic for our economy and for all of our big businesses and medium-sized businesses. And us as individuals in the property industry really want this going because it improves everything around our business and how that flows as well. But from that employee perspective, they're going to get really annoyed about extra commuting time. Cost of commuting is come back in. Some of these people have moved away, in that whole COVID area. We've had people that from the cities moving out to smaller towns, countryside, because they can now work from anywhere. That's been taken away from them. Their freedom, the lack of control over their life has gone back up with these orders to get back to the office. So me and you don't have to deal with that on a day-to-day basis. We've been in self-employed for many, many years. We have control over our own destiny. And yet we really want them lot to get back to work so that our lives are easier. It's a strange one, ain't it? Because we teach people how to take control back and not be the person that returns to the office. And yet we want those that are returning to the office to get back there real quick to make our lives easier.
yeah, I hear what you're saying. Here's my take on that would be, we have made that conscious choice and taken that risk to go self-employed. With going self-employed, as I said, does come with a risk. We don't get paid every month. We can't rely on a salary that appears in our bank account on the 28th of the month. We've got to go and make that happen for ourselves. So we have taken that risk. We have almost earned the right to work in your tracky bees all day. I don't know. Is that a bit controversial? Probably, right? But okay, here's an example. Right, talking to a friend of mine who is a senior partner of a law firm in London. He's got one of his employees. He during COVID worked from home, fine. Moved out of London and went to go and live in Wales. Okay, that's their choice. Cool. For quality of life, I totally get that. My friend wants these people to get back to the office now. So, it's like you need to be back in the office minimum like 3 days a week, maybe not 5, but at least 3. Okay. And they're flat refusing to do that. And yet they still want to be paid the London salary. So as a business kind of owner, because that's as a partner in law firm, they have to decide these things. He's like, well, hang on a minute. You get the London salary for being in London and for coming to the office and working in London and seeing your clients in London. If you're sitting out in South Wales, why do you need the London salary? That's an employer's take on it. It's like, look, okay, you can do that. There might be work you can do for us doing it in South Wales, but if you need to come and meet your client in the city, how are you doing that? That's part of what your salary is. And so maybe there's a choice to be made from those people that are in that situation, the employees, are thinking, well, look, I prefer my life living out of London, but is their expectation that I can earn the same as a London employee who lives in London and goes to the office every day? And that is my friend's perspective. He's like, well, no. Why do you think that an employer should pay London salary if you don't live or work in London?
There's no right and wrong on this one, but I can definitely see it from employees' perspectives of, well, COVID happened. This is what you wanted us to do. We went and did it. Now you're taking that away from us. And we've actually built, 3 years, 4 years of life around this model. I don't want to go back. I don't want you to dictate to me when I can go on holiday and when I can pick the kids up, caregiving, commuting, mental health and well-being, return to office is going to affect all of those things. So I guess people have a choice, hey, Nick, from here on in, stay employed, go self-employed. And we've already touched upon some of the risks of going self-employed, but the rewards are also pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, there's also certain, professions that don't even have the option of working from home. A medic now, or nurse, or doctor or surgeon. So we do appreciate we are talking to not the whole broad band of professions you can have. And I certainly think there are some areas of work and, for employees that can totally work from home and it doesn't affect their ability to do their job. If you're a software developer or something like that, why do you need to go into an office to do that job? You probably can do it much better from home. And maybe you're working until 3 in the morning and that's your schedule. And then you get up later and you do other things during the day, but you still do your work, on your terms and at your time. But, so it's multifaceted, isn't it? And I think, it shouldn't be a blanket, everyone's got to go back to the office, because I do think there's a lot of times, I think back to when we worked in our recruitment days, you think, well, actually, I didn't need to be in the office. Actually, being in the office got in the way. There are some times when, too many distractions in the office. And actually, if you just had a few hours at home, you could probably do the same amount of work from home that you could do in the office without somebody calling you into a meeting every 5 minutes. You know, um, you get your extreme kind of over here, your Alan Sugars, like he was in the news yesterday, I think, you know, in his customary way, saying, as soon as we could, we got everyone, I said to everyone, you're back into office or you can sod off, kind of thing. Those are the words he used. We get where someone like that's coming from. He's like, look, all his life, he went to work and worked hard and he was in an office and that's where you collaborate and have ideas. I get all that stuff. So yeah, it's not an easy one.
Well, yeah, I mean, Lord Rose, ex-M&S boss, I think he said they're not doing proper work if they're not in the office. Generation lazy and all of that sort of stuff. So, do people have a right to work from home and have the mental well-being that can allow, the ability to look after children or other dependents, to have flexibility of time? It's very hard for me and you to sit here as, I suppose, masters of our own destiny by the choices that we've made and the risks that we've taken, to say that others should not be afforded that privilege.
Stuart Rose has said, and there's also Mark Reed of WPP faced backlash after going, mandating a 4-day return to work. And you think, if you're mandating a 4-day return to work, what's happening on that 5th day? If you're annoying all your staff by saying you got to come back to office 4 days, I'm going to put my neck out there and say, on that 5th day, there's nothing happening, is there? So it's basically almost now going to a 4-day week. Another take on it that I've thought about and I've read about was the impact on the wider economy from working from home. You're talking about probably not so much now, but in fact, no, I was in London last week and I was around on like a Thursday. And I remember a few years pre-COVID, you'd be in and around London on a Thursday or Friday. It was busy, you know, lunchtimes, restaurants were busy, cafes were busy. In the evening after work, Thursday was a big thing. After work, Friday was a big thing. If you're in city on a Friday now, it's dead. Like Thursday, probably still reasonably busy. Friday, it's quiet, you know.
But Nick, is it kicking up a storm in commuter town just outside of London? Is that nightlife kicking off massively?
I don't know, if you're kind of used to, a Friday after work, as maybe we once did back in the day, if you're not going out for a few drinks after work or socially after work, are you going home and going out locally or are you just going home and putting Netflix on? I don't know, you know? So I think, there is a wide discussion on that, on the wider economy, on how much has that been affected by working from home. The independent or local coffee shops that now don't have any business on a Friday lunchtime or sometimes on Monday. If people are doing even Tuesday to Thursday in the office, does have an impact, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there is, as is, whenever you're trying to work out a zero footprint or a carbon footprint for something, people go, yeah, but you're reducing this, but along the line it increases over here somewhere. So I think this is one of those debates, isn't it, where you can say, well, London might be missing out on its Friday night recruitment drinkers, which we know they're heavy drinkers. We understand that market coming from that background ourselves. But is it then just actually that the distribution of that money spent is being transferred into different geo cities?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope. I mean, we'll get any data on that for a while, but kind of to think about the fact that it is multifaceted. There are. It's not an easy. Yeah, people should go back to the office, or no, they shouldn't. And I do get that if people who have suddenly find they don't have to spend thousands of pounds on a rail ticket just to go to an office for the sake of going to an office, and can do their work from home without that and can save money. I do get that, why that would be really, really appealing.
I mean, I think, since the whole work from home ethos has come in, I think there's been a massive on effect for things like work attire. Like, if you see someone now in a full suit and tie, it's a kind of a turnaround moment and look at them, because it's an unusual sight, because people are far more casual in their professional lives now. So in terms of wearing smart casual rather than smart. So it has a knock-on effect, throughout, on all sorts of things, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, last week I was in London. Talking about London just because I was there last week. But I caught up with a load of friends who are all in reasonably senior positions doing in their jobs, and not one of them was wearing a suit, not one. So I think that it has fundamentally changed working practices of the UK, and I'm sure it probably has in America as well. So yes, it's really interesting to see where it goes from here. But as you've said, as people who are outside of that bubble, I mean, we both work from home. It doesn't mean we're at home all day, but we are based out of home, and we can conduct our business arrangements, the stuff that we do from here. I
Or
had
from anywhere.
Yeah, from anywhere. Carol and I were arranging a meeting the other day with an Edinburgh-based company. I mean, we literally live a mile outside the city centre of Edinburgh. We can walk in 20 minutes. We can drive in 5, and yet it was like, oh, should we just do a Teams call? Yeah, let's do a Teams call. Because actually, I don't have to go and get dressed smartly and go and find something in a park and walk in. I can, and an hour meeting that would be 2 hours when you factor in getting ready, getting there, parking, walking there, coming back. I can get done in an hour just on a Teams call, because what's the difference?
Yeah. Apart from when it's brainstorming, collaboration, I think there's nothing like being in the same room as someone, reading body language, really understanding those non-verbal cues. There's definitely a time and a place for all of that. But I suppose if you're listening to this and thinking, I've actually been ordered back to work and I've got to do 4 hours or 4 days in the office per week now, and I'm not actually that up for it. What are the choices that people have in front of them that they can mix that dynamic up?
For those people that may be thinking, look, this is a bit of a last straw. I'm tolerating my job. I can tolerate it because I can work from home and it fits with my lifestyle. If you find yourself suddenly being ordered back to the office, it's a bit draconian, isn't it? It's a bit, back in the 90s, you've got to get back to the office, we own you kind of thing. So I think for anyone that's thinking about, well, what are my alternatives? This could be the time when, if you, particularly if you've been thinking along the lines of, look, I could do something else here. Do I want to take that plunge and do something for myself? I think now's probably a really good time.
Yeah, I think it is. If you are feeling that control's being taken away from you, that it's being placed back into other people's hands, there are things you can do about it. We've done them, and we're not sitting here saying that they're easy, that they're quick. You will have to work at it, and it isn't a short-term get rich quick thing going into property, but it can give you flexibility and freedom back. And it might be that actually you don't want to leave your job, but that you just want to taper it down a little bit and take some control back, and to get some hours back in your week that you can do what you want with. And property is a great way to do that. There are, of course, lots of other ways to do that, but we're the ones that have walked that path with property. We understand it, and we've got a whole network of people around us that have done very similar. And in our Property Life network already, there's all sorts of people there that have done it to varying different degrees. They may have completely given up corporate lives and the control that those people might have had over them, and replaced it with property and working really hard but on their terms, or they've just reduced down the hours in a corporate environment and used property to gain that freedom back. And it is a really powerful thing.
For anyone that thinks that it's like, "Oh, yeah, I've seen the ads, get financially free in a week and all that nonsense." It's like, it's not realistic. Everyone really deep down knows it's not realistic, right? But it does work, if you work and you put the effort in. But I think what you're saying is, look, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Quick job going to property. It could be something that builds alongside it. And every time, you make a property acquisition, you could see what that income does and how that chips away what you're earning in your job. And you can, I guess you're looking to try and even that up. So as soon as you get to a point where you've kind of matched what your job is providing you, then you can look at it and go, well, actually, I'm doing all this for this amount of money, and having to commute to the office, and having to, be forced to go out after work and blah, blah, and socialize and dragged into meeting, or I can do this where I built a little portfolio. I'm maybe now looking to step up into bigger things. You've built that confidence about that experience while still, staying in your job. The challenge is balancing the time aspect of it and finding that way of building something on the side whilst, you're still maintaining your income from your job.
Yeah, definitely. But I think network is everything in that situation, isn't it? So, just making mistakes. Don't make mistakes if someone else has made them already and you can learn from them.
Yeah, definitely. That is the beauty of being in a network, of people that have done it. Our network is from, all our men's trainers are in it. People have been doing property for 15 years plus. And then you've got, people who are just starting that can benefit from all the experience of those that have made a lot of mistakes, dealt with a load of issues, and overcome them. So I think that can speed things up a lot for the new people coming into it. I was just reminded of a stat I think you told me earlier today, so which was in fact, I think about 3/4 of those that have come through our training are in full-time employment, right?
Yeah, just slightly less. So I think it's about 68% of people that have come through our training are employed at the beginning of the training, at
Again,
least.
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, and a lot of our stuff is designed around that as well. To there are, I think a lot of people think property investing is just going and buying buy-to-let houses, and there's so much more to it than that. There's so many more ways of making income out of property and you know changing your life through property than just buy-to-let houses. So yeah, there are things that people who are cash rich, time poor can do, and there's lots of things that people that are time rich, cash poor can do in property. So yeah, lots of opportunity I think out there. If now is the time
Yeah.
to be thinking, I don't want to go back to office. What there's more out there, and there definitely is.
Yeah. And, I find the whole thing really fascinating because obviously we've got office spaces within our portfolio of property. Part of that is a co-working area. So we have people that are employed and self-employed using that co-working area. They're not in, well, some of them are in there Monday to Friday, maybe because their current living environment doesn't support them working from home. So they have to have a place. But equally, we are getting far more calls, more and more calls now of just, do you know what? I've done this whole working from home thing and I love it, but I actually just need to speak to people. I just want to go and make a cup of tea and talk to someone that isn't the dog about something that they might have done this week that they found interesting. So we are humans. We love that interaction. So whilst you guys who are being ordered back to the office in at WPP or at Boots or at Amazon or wherever it is that's done the mandates in the last few weeks, there is a lot to be said for actually being with other human beings and interacting. And, I'm seeing that just on the amount of signups that we're getting at the co-working space for people that want it. They just want it on their terms. And I think that that's the thing, isn't it? I think it's great, actually, that people are returning to the office. When we're doing our brainstorming, Nick, it's always best when we're doing it in person. So I think there's a real good place for going back to the office, but I think it's let's just have it on your own terms. And if property or another entrepreneurial thing can give you those terms, I am definitely all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's all about, it's basically what we teach and help and support people with is getting to the point of living life on your terms. And, property is a way that you can take control. I think it is a lot about control. So it's kind of not, it's almost, you can probably take the working from home element is a part of it, isn't it? It's not, if you actually break it down, what is the issue with working from home or return to office? It actually comes down to control,
Yeah.
right? Control of your life. If you're working from home, you have so much more control over your time, right? And no one's telling you where to be and what time or what meeting to be in, or, grabbing you for a meeting at a second's notice. If you're not available for a Zoom call, you're not. Do you know what I mean? It's much easier to be in control when you're working from home. So I think rather than it's are you at home or are you in the office, it's about how much control over your life do you have. And what you're saying there is for those, that are maybe a bit more entrepreneurial or thinking about making a change, you can have the best of both worlds, right? You can get the environment of being in an office environment where you get a bit of social interaction and a bit of human contact, a bit of office bants, I still miss that, weirdly. But so you can get that, but actually you're still controlling things. It's on your terms, it's your business, and you can choose to go to the co-working space or not. When you want a bit of interaction, you go there, and when you don't, you don't. So I think that's what I think. If you really boiled it down, it's control, rather than just do I have to be in an office or not.
Yeah, totally agree. And from a property investor's perspective, this whole RTO, return to office mandate that has been coming through the news over the last few weeks, there's a real plus side for some of us who own office space. Because I don't think, even though, during COVID, all of these office buildings were vacated and you think, oh, there's loads of capacity, there isn't. There isn't capacity for these people to be back in the office full time, 5 days a week. So, hence where I can come in and go, hey, I've got some office space. Would you like to rent that from me? So I'm kind of excited about the whole RTO thing from lots of different perspectives. I think it's going to push some people into making some decisions that might let them take control back of their lives. And equally, there is always going to be a place for the office. And if you need office space in Southport, in Merseyside, please do look me up. Although we're running out, actually, we've just got a few big tenants in who have taken sort of about 50% of the space. So yeah, it just proves that there is definitely a return to office feeling that's going on.
Yeah, it does feel like it's almost a kind of come on now. Yeah, it's 5 years since COVID. Let's get back to work. Let's get things going again. But again, likewise, if you're on that kind of edge of thinking that I don't want to go back, I want to do something else. Now's the time to really seriously thinking about making that leap into
Yeah.
controlling your own.
And listen to future sessions and past episodes of this podcast, this Property Life. Subscribe to us, on your favorite platform. We're on YouTube as well, and you might just get some little sparks of inspiration that help you just mix up what currently is happening for you, and just tweak things to start up a property, investment journey for yourselves. And I hate that word. We all hate that word, but so often we use it. It's
Very happy
annoying.
with it. Until someone invents a better word.
Yeah. Let's get ChatGPT on that. But we've got some exciting stuff happening with this Property Life, haven't we, Nick? We are launching a soft launch in a couple of weeks of our first big networking meetup. So we've got, I think it's 75 tickets sold so far with few seats remaining. which will get snapped up, no doubt, in the next few days for our first quarterly network meetup, where we're going to have lots of good speakers, lots of roundtables, and generally just people in a room doing business, talking property, talking business, and doing some good stuff.
Who's going to be there, Sarah? Well, I'm
I'm
going to
going to
be
be
there.
there,
You're
definitely.
going
Yeah,
to be there.
yeah.
Caroline's got
And
the
we'll
Caroline will be around. She'll pop in as well.
Great stuff. Yeah, and I think Rick's going to pop in equally. But we've got lots of our property wealth system and this property life crew coming in, and our membership base. And we've got some expert speakers as well. So in fact, I've got a call just after we finish recording here to try and get a really exciting speaker in for either this event or future events. But yeah, what can you expect? Well, people that are talking property. So, our power team, our mortgage brokers, finance, bridging people. But, we've got more than just property stuff going on. So we are very passionate about mindset and self-development. So that will be very much a part of the networking events, where we have sessions around just working on accountability, goal setting, how you can change your mindset to actually achieve the goals that you've set out.
I don't know what a lot of people might be thinking, Sarah, cynically. They might be going, yeah, but come on. What's the big upsell? What are you upselling me onto?
Zilch. Nothing.
No, it is
No story
purely
here.
a networking event, where you can connect with us. You can come talk to people who have been successful in property, others that are just starting out, find people you can collaborate with, find people to be accountable with, and help you along on your, journey.
But yeah, that's right. And there's going to be people at all stages of their property career. So we've got lots of people that are experienced, all the way through to people that are just starting and aspiring. And you know what? We can learn something from every single person along that bit. So yeah, very excited about our first networking meetup for this property life. And we will be pushing that out, I guess, to a wider audience for the next one after that. So we're going to run them quarterly, aren't we? So first one, couple of weeks. Next one, I think, is going to be end of April.
Yeah, so I think by the time that you're listening to this recording, you'll still have about a week in order to buy a ticket. There are very limited tickets. We do have a limited room size. We'll be pretty much full, but there might be a few extra spaces we could squeeze in. It's going to be on the 1st of February.
Yeah, so it's a London location, which hopefully makes it quite easy for everyone to get to, just from a commute perspective. But to keep an eye on those events and to learn more about some of the membership options that we have at This Property Life, head to our website, which is thispropertylife.co.uk.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, Sarah. Thanks for joining me today. Look forward to some more great episodes. We've got some great content lined up for you guys, and we're going to have a whole new look to the podcast, aren't we?
We certainly are. We are busy in the background, getting it all ready so that we can start 25 with a big bang.
Yeah, so exactly. So look out for our new look podcast coming very soon. In the meantime, great to have you with me, Sarah, and for everybody else, thanks for This Property Life, and we will see you very soon.